What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's episode review. Today we're going to be going over episode 6 of Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's, which includes the duel between Yuga and Mensaburo. And sorry that this took a little while. The subs, or like the English subs of it really didn't come out until when Tuesday, excuse me, is when I actually noticed it come out, but it wasn't like really that good. It took me a little while to actually get it. I didn't watch it until yes yesterday. For me, it was Wednesday of the time recording this. Editing was probably take a little while, but it took me a little while to get it, but I was able to watch it finally, and I could give you guys a full-on review because I was gonna do it earlier, but I didn't have a really good source to be able to do it. But enough of that talk. How about we get straight into it? Overall, this episode was fascinating. I did like this episode a lot just because of the fact of, how do I put this? This episode was really dumb, but I liked it. Like the whole theme of this episode and what they were doing, it was just funny. Just to think of what they were doing with this is they really try to get creative when they're doing stuff, and I really do appreciate it. But let's talk about it. So the episode starts with Rook showing Yuga the newspaper from the elementary school, the seventh grade elementary school newspaper, talking about how he's gonna be in his own featured page on the magazine, and he's trying to get Yuga to think of a name for him, like what the name of the title should be. Yuga reads a little bit into the newspaper and finds out that this ramen place that he goes to was going to be shutting down, and this gets Yuya all, I wouldn't say freaked out. He gets curious about it. He talks to Gakuto and Roman about it. They leave Rook behind and head straight to the shop, or to this noodle place, and we meet this old man there, and he just looks like he's out of it. Like he looks like he has lost it. Like he just wants people to buy ramen, and he just is crazy. Like he is just down in the dumps, man. I mean, I wouldn't blame him. We further on learned that the reason why his shop actually was not doing good and why he's gonna be closing down the shop is because there was a ramen theme park that AI's created for people to enjoy ramen while they got to do in a normal well, I was about to say arcade, but that's not what it is. Why can't I think of amusement park? I don't know why I couldn't think of it for a second, but they made this a theme park for ramen, which of course would be Yu-Gi-Oh! The mega theme park based around ramen. But Yuga and the gang decides to go and visit it, but they are stopped by this AI that, because they look suspicious, they are not allowed in, which to me, I would be ticked, and I would be concerned. The fact that AI are if something looks suspicious to an AI, you're kind of in trouble, and I don't like the way that this show is going with. Don't get me wrong, I think it's good. I'm meaning in the terms of how AIs are taking over. This needs to be stopped, to be honest. I'm pretty sure either if it's this season or next season, they're gonna probably stop these AIs because, because they're basically running this entire world now, and it's not really that good. I could probably see this season, the first season, stopping Goha corporations, and the second season stopping the AI from basically taking over the entire world, which won't be surprised. I mean, Brains kind of did that with the third season, or more like the second season, I guess you would say. Because the third season was just about stopping I from hurting people. He had went off to, well, wasn't really trying to hurt people. He just was trying to revive the Ignis, and he was in that personal grudge. He wanted to save his friends from what had ended up happening, but they disagreed what he was doing. But getting, I got off topic. They go and visit it. They aren't able to go in, and they go back to the restaurants. They're trying to think of a way how they could do it. No, actually, beforehand, they did get information on it. They sent Kaizo in, which the whole thing with Kaizo and Roman dude is so hilarious. Like how he just like is like, no, I'm not gonna do anything Yuga says. But once Ramen got tanked, when Roman says something to him, like I believe she said like you can do it, and she's like he's like I'm on it, I'm going. Like it's just so funny the interaction between those two. But he does get back and he shows like what is going on, like the whole theme parks where like people can take rides, they can eat the ramen the way they want it, and that they can like take pictures and all that kind of stuff. Like what you would see at an amusement park or something like that. It it's just so interesting. You see these like towers of like AI, and that actually really concerns me. The fact that like everywhere you go, you just have these towers just like watching over the people. Like, wow, like this whole world is filled with AIs, and you think like Reigns was like the big show with AI. That was more in the virtual reality or like the Reigns. Like that was what the whole where all of the AIs were really going at. This one's actually going in the real world, which I kind of actually am liking a little bit more than how Vrains kind of did it, but I still think Friends has been better than 7 so far, but that's by my own opinion. You guys have your own opinions, and let me know what you guys are thinking. Do you think this is going better than 7 or Vrains, or do you think that Vrains might still be your, like, preferred one over 7's? But that'd be nice to know, but they start to think of ideas of how because they don't want the ramen shop to close, so they start thinking of ideas of how to fix it. And Yuga starts venting some roads. Now, I forgot this is a whole thing. When he builds something or like his machinery or his roads, something could go good and bad. Which I guess the only good thing that happened was the rush duels. That was his only road that was successful because literally I can only remember the two, but Yuga literally creates spinning chairs to try to make it like because apparently people want to eat ramen spin chairs. I don't know where he got that idea from, but I guess that's something he wanted to do. So he has them spinning on these chairs, and then he decides to be able to lure people in. He decides to have like basically people in one, where like where someone would hold like two sticks with fake dummies in the front of them. Like I've seen this done before, and I think it's funny as heck. But he just makes Gakuto and Rowan try to walk in there to kind of look like lots of people are going in there to attract them. Obviously, it doesn't work, and then they end up having enough of it. And this is where we get to meet our new character, Mitsuburo, which I will say this: Konami has had some interesting designs, characters in the past. This one was definitely the most interesting one of 7 so far. Like the fact that this kid is, and he goes actually to the same school the Yuga goes to, the 7th elementary school. He's not in the same class. From what it sounds like, he's in his own class. He finds out about Yuga because of the whole Rush thing kind of blowing up, and he actually got his own like page in the newspaper, and he actually wants to know how Yuga invented the rush duels, how he actually got the system to work. He talks about how like he loves ramen and he wants to combine ramen and dueling. And then this was talking about like how he came here because he wanted to get the last bowl of ramen. Yuka says no, even though I would like to prefer udon. Since this is the last time that we're gonna be able to get ramen for this place, I'm gonna get the last ramen. And like in every Yu-Gi-Oh series, you deal something like this with the duel. Literally, they duel for ramen. Like I'm not surprised they do this stuff in Yu-Gi-Oh anymore. Like this is such a common thing that I'm not surprised about it. But there was an additional twist to it as well. Like if Metsuburo won this duel, what would end up happening is Yuga would have to show him how to make rush, like how he made rush duels, so that he can implement his own style dueling. Yuga agrees to the terms, and they begin their duel. Which, to me, this duel, and if no one else recognizes but me, I'm gonna feel so upset with myself. Or no, I'm not upset. I'm proud of myself to even remember this duel because I will not blame you if you don't remember this duel. But this duel in particular reminded me of the duel in Arc 5 between Yuga and that chef kid. You remember when he was trying to get enough wins so he can be able to participate in the tournament that was going on. And the first opponent he faced was I I don't know his sub name, but I know his dub name. Reed Pepper, I believe. Yeah, Reed Pepper was his name. That's what this entire duel reminded me of. Like I think the only difference was like how like Yuga in this duel, like he was like mouthwatering over the ramen being made, but like I don't think he was really as hungry as Yuga or Yuya because Yuya was actually starving during the entire thing, which made him have problems when he's action dueling because he couldn't really move around that much because he was really hungry, which was kind of I kind of like that duel a little bit. Those kind of duels aren't really my favorite duels of the series. I like the more intense duels, the more like involving with the story type duels. But that's just me. But overall, I think this duel was good. I do like how Yuga actually wins the duel, and I didn't think of say this. I actually like this kid's deck. It's really interesting. The first archetype that we see in this entire series is a ramen ninja based deck, which is just getting monsters on the field, getting this big bad ace monster on the field, which I believe had 2,200 attack points. It had 2,200 attack points and zero defense. I believe that's what it was. But basically, his deck works around spells and trap cards to debuff your opponent to kind of regain life points and then be able to buff your monsters up with attack points to basically do a frontal assault on your opponent, which I don't know how good. I'm going to be the last person to kind of decide if a deck is good or not because I don't really duel that much myself, so I can't really be the judge of if a deck is good or not, but it was a really interesting deck. I did like the this whole deck actually. You know what? This isn't even a joke. If you and I can only think of the Arc 5 characters. If you put Reed Pepper and the Moon Shadow guy from Arc 5, you know the ninja guy that was always with Reiji, the guy that played the Shingetsu deck, if you put those two together, you get this kid. I'm not even kidding. This is where you get this kid from because he gets the ninja type deck from Moonshadow and he gets like the food base of it from Reed Pepper. And I really like the fact that I like the. I guess you could say symbolism, but this is just a character. I don't even think they thought of those two characters when combining this character. Like, I just can imagine them seeing like they just sit in the office one day. It's like, okay, we need to think of the next design of this character. What should it be? Like, give me two characters from one of the past Yu-Gi-Oh shows, and tell me what you think. One guy says Moochow, the other guy says, the chef guy Reed Pepper. He's like, perfect. Like, I just don't see that happening, but that would be really funny. But the duel was interesting. It starts off with him summoning his Mitsuburo summoning his Ace Monster, which I do not. That's another card I don't remember the name of, so forgive me. I couldn't even pronounce the name of the card when I was reading the subtitles, so I don't think I would even be able to pronounce it. But if someone remembers his Ace Monster, please let me know in the comments below, and maybe next time I'll try to remember it if he does appear again, which he seems like he'll be a main character because we actually got his information earlier in the like before this episode came out. We actually got his like we got his character design and everything like that. Is like his backstory and everything like that. Which I guess we also got like one of the assistants of Gakuto, like that was part of the student council board. So maybe those characters will be important. I really don't know, but he ends his turn. He it goes to Yuga. He immediately summons Seven Roads Magician. Does his elemental road effect where he sends a card to his graveyard, gains attack points, goes for attack, gets stopped by one of his traps, which lowers his monster's attack points by 1,000, and he ends up gaining 500 life points. Yuga forces to end his turn. He goes back, summons two more monsters, and activates a couple of his spell cards, which I loved every time he played one of his spell cards. He always represented it always represented of what was going on with the guy because he was making this duel they were trying to get this duel as quickly as done before the ramen was done because apparently they can't eat cold ramen to save their life, which I bet would taste nasty, but I mean still the reason why I guess this is why rush duels are perfect. Who knows? But every time he's activating his spells, it was a different type of food ingredients and that the guy was working on. I really liked how they were kind of doing that back and forth and what the deck was kind of representing. But he ends up getting his monster's attack points up and was able to go on a full-on assault, which then Yuga activates a trap, which prevents his monster from being destroyed in battle. They do a frontal assault. Yuga ends up losing 3,100 points, or taking 3,100 points of damage, leaving his life points at 900. He ends his turn. It goes back to Yuga. Yuga plays two spell cards, which I don't know the specific name, but I knew they were based on elements, and I'm assuming we're gonna see later on the water, because I think it was fire and wind for these two cards. So maybe we'll see a one for dark, light, water, and earth, maybe, because it seems like Seven Road Magician really focuses on multiple attribute monsters. Kind of reminds me how kind of the Code Talkers worked, especially with Access Code Talkers effect, because when you banished a monster with the same attribute, you got to activate its effect, but you needed different attribute monsters. So I kind of see symbolism in that, but I like the combo that happened in this episode. So he activates this first card because he goes for an attack again, but no, I think he just active. No, I think Yuga went for an attack again. He activated Rhodes effect, but he ends up activating the trap again, and it stops his monster's attack points for going up, and he gains another 500 life points. But then he activates his spell card. For every monster in your opponent's graveyard, you take 1,000 points of damage, I believe it was. It was that, or you took, I think, 600 points of damage for every. No, I think it was 400 points of damage for every. I think it was. No, I know. It's 400 attack points each fire monster on the field. Sorry about that. But he ends up dealing damage to 3,800. He activates the wind version of the card, which places his big ace monster in defensive position, which has 0. And then he activates a couple of cards to get his attack points up to 3,800. But he knows he'll still have 3,800 attack points even if he attacks his monster. But then, this is the only card I remember from Rook's deck. But he activates Piercing, which, as probably you can tell by this card effect, you can deal piercing damage since his monster is in defense position. Yuga attacks and is able to win the duel. And instead, and this is why I'm actually starting to like Yuga's character a lot, he is the most selfless person on this. Because he goes and asks the chef guy, because the ramen gets done in time, he asks for an extra pair of chopsticks, wanting to share the bowl of ramen, which I like the symbolism of how Yuga is. He's not this selfless character that doesn't, he cares for his own benefit.
Just Yuga's just such a nice character, dude. I'm actually starting to grow a little bit on Yuga, but unfortunately, it ends up not turning out the way they wanted to. As Rook comes in, talking about how the duel is great as he eats the last bowl of ramen. But luckily, we do find out that he's still gonna continue. In fact, he actually made this new thing called Rush Ramen, which, let's be honest, it might just be instant ramen. You never know. But anyway, so that's basically what this whole episode is. But we're actually going to talk about something that really did interest me this episode. And I know this episode's gone on for quite a while, but this is the big thing, and I want to talk about this episode. So Yuga decides that he's still gonna show um Metsuburo how he was able to create rush duels and stuff like that. And they go back down to that little basement area where the thing was, and everything is just gone. Like everything disappeared from nowhere. Like it never existed. Like you can see like where the spot it was at, but everything was just gone. And that's kind of how the episode ends off. Like they were freaking out saying the thing disappeared, and we just end off with like Yuga just like staring at the thing. Like you knew like, okay, someone was tampering with this. Who was it? Who went into this place and who was tampering it? If I had to guess, there's only two people I'm guessing at this point, and I could easily be wrong in this. It's either the Goa Corporation and the president got hold of it, like maybe they traced the data from like the duel that Yuga had with it, because they control the whole dueling network basically, and they found this because they found like all these occurrences with Yuga during this duel, so they went to the spot where the duel was. They found the thing and they captured it. Or I think maybe that new kid that we got introduced, that green hair kid that we got to see the full design of, Roa Kirishima, he might have something to do with it. I really doubt it's him because I don't know why he would want it. Maybe he wants to make his own rules. I don't know because I feel like they might go on a pattern like people wanting to make their own rules now, and maybe like I don't know, like maybe that's how like Goha really gets involved in it because of the fact that people are trying to change the rules too much and they want to keep it how it normally is, like keep everything the same as it was. And I don't think you guys gonna like that, but definitely am interested about that. Let me know your guys' theories on what you guys think. Who do you think took that? Or do you think it just disappeared? Maybe the hologram man, maybe took everything away when you get defeated him. Like now, this was like a once in a lifetime deal. You cannot change it afterwards. Maybe it's something like that. But we'll love to know that. But I think that's gonna be it for this episode. Again, let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of the episode yourself and the whole thing with that ending scene. And how do you like the goofiness of this show? I mean, geez, like I really like the fact that they are kind of they're trying to go for more kids and it fits the art style. I do miss like the dark aspect that Yu-Gi-Oh has really had, but I'm not gonna judge it yet because we might still get that because it's Yu-Gi-Oh. I feel like they would stick that, but this is looking like more the most like kid-friendly show out of them all, especially coming out of Reigns. I mean, I guess it's a definitely a good change of pace. I shouldn't say it's a good change of pace. Like I'm enjoying the show, so that's good. But we'll just see how far we'll go. I mean, I'm giving this show up to episode 10, and to like, am I gonna fully get deep into this series, or am I just gonna drop it all together? But this is looking like I'm going to this series to the end to kind of see how it is because Yukio's stories have always interested me, and I wanted to see kind of how they're gonna do with this story. How is this series? What is this series gonna be leading up to? What's the road this series is gonna take? So, would love to see what happens. But thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and until next time, guys, take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.